Dean Delray, thanks for joining us on the Full Grain podcast. Phil's letting me take charge, which doesn't happen very often, so we'll see how that goes. But I appreciate you taking the time. You came for a tour of the tannery. Maybe was it 2 years ago at this point? Probably.
Shit, I think it might have been longer
Really?
than that. Was I there with Burr or Joey Diaz?
I don't remember.
I was there with Burr because I remember
right.
I went back and was like, God, dude, they make the fucking NFL footballs.
Yeah, it was fun to walk around, and I'm interested in a lot of the same things that you are, but you seem to know more about them, which is awesome. Watches and cars and architecture and leather goods, comedy, all that stuff.
Well, I think it's just basically I love good design, and that's from probably growing up around the late 60s, early 70s and seeing the invention of track homes and just being like, oh, fuck this. I grew up in the Bay Area with some of the greatest architecture on the planet. And I was born and raised up in Yosemite, which is another place that was really kind of mid-century. Frank Lloyd Wright was around a lot. His building, Eichlers, a lot of Eichlers, stuff like that, So I realized about 10 years ago, my whole love of all that comes from being in the Bay Area and specifically Yosemite, being born there, Also, the love of James Bond as a kid. That's how I found out about high-end luxury items like Rolex, which as you get older, you realize Rolex really isn't high-end. It's just like the gateway into crazy watches. But, Rolex, Ferrari, Lotus, Jaguar, Aston Martin, Rossignol skis, crazy locations like the Swiss Alps and shit like that,
Yeah, definitely.
I was peeking on your Instagram, and it seems like you have some pretty extensive jacket collection. Is that your main love? I don't know, just maybe what's represented on Instagram.
Well, I absolutely love the leather jacket, and that was one of the reasons I went to the Horween factory because, there was a period in time where all the jackets were made with horsehide in the 50s, and then there was this. I don't know if it was a myth or if it was real, but there was this thing where, you couldn't get horsehide anymore. It's illegal now. And I don't know if people just made that up so they could start wielding bad jackets, leather on the jackets. That was kind of the 80s of when Wilson's House of Suede started happening. And it was like, the kind of Michael Jackson Thriller jacket kind of stuff, reds and blues and Arsenio Hall type of, stop signs on the jackets and stuff. And it became more of fashion. I'm not knocking those jackets because I love I love some of those jackets, but the stuff at the mall was just awful. It was like, I think it was made in like, China or places like that. And then, once the Japanese, specifically the Real McCoys and Kento and what they were doing, started, reproducing even better than the originals like Buko and stuff, I became obsessed with getting these jackets again because I used to seek them out at flea markets and stuff, but they're kind of boxy or really short. Those jackets are really short from back then. So you put them on and it's like, because people wore their pants high. So they're kind of weird or they were dry rot. So I was always looking for the holy grail leather. And now there's quite a few companies that just make jackets that are just so mind boggling to me that I can own these stuff like a grizzly bear or a perfect reproduction of a J24, J100, or go down to SHOT now, even what Jason's doing at SHOT. and the jackets they're making, the higher end ones, is just fantastic time for jackets.
I was going back into your Instagram because I remember you were modeling a jacket just the other day.
The grizzly one?
What? No, it's white.
Oh yeah,
white with shearling panels on the front of it.
Yeah, that's the grizzly, but that one's called the polar bear because it's white.
I mean, it's pretty sharp, but I mean, you pull it off. I'm not sure I could do it. But
well, people say that a lot. I meet humans that say that, and they're like, "Oh, that you could do that. I could never pull that off." And I just believe that that's some kind of bullshit early high school bullying that's just embedded in their brains forever.
Yeah.
Like they're worried about what people are going to say. And I was always like, hey, fuck that. It's, this shit is, you see a guy wearing one in like a photo from the 40s, you don't go like, look at that dick. You're just like, that guy was staying warm out in fucking Chicago.
I'll accept that my insecurities don't maybe prevent me from wearing awesome things sometimes. I'll own that. Yeah.
But it really is. It goes back to being worried about what people think of you, and I don't give a fuck what people think of me. It's like I know when somebody says some shit about you, they're really going, fuck, I wish I could have the balls to wear that. That's really what they're saying. And also, I don't want to look like everybody else on stage or in life. I grew up in the Bay Area, and the fucking Gap hit the Bay Area hard in the 80s and 90s, and everybody's wearing cotton Dockers and shit. I was like, the San Francisco area was the ground zero of hippies and radical looking and bikers and stuff. And here everybody's looking like a robot in, Dockers. And I couldn't do it. I've never been able just to blend in. It's just not my MO.
Yeah, I guess, Dean, I should talk to you like once a month so you can realign my perspective on how I should be thinking about my fashion choices. No, that's awesome. I mean, it's I mean, just like talking about the Thriller jackets, there's so much awesome stuff out there. And I guess people do shy away from it for kind of artificial reasons, which is unfortunate, but I do too, for sure.
Yeah.
So what jacket?
A lot of people will say it's expensive, and it is, but you buy it once and it lasts until the day you die, compared to some shit you're gonna buy at Target or Walmart or any of that shit. People are like, you spent fucking $1,000 on boots. What a dick. I get mine for $200. And it's like, yeah, every 2 years you get yours for $200. I get it. And you end up spending about 12 grand in boots in your lifetime. I just get mine resold.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I think that we probably still spent 12 grand. I just think we then can hand the boots off to somebody else that can wear them. But
yeah,
but that's maybe an affliction that's unique to.
I mean,
talking right now.
Yeah. And also you can get a lot of stuff, man, on Grailed, and websites like that, because people buy them and they wear it like 3 times and they resell it. Like, I don't like this, So there's deals to be had out there.
Where would you get somebody to start off in the jacket world? So for me, I only have my experience through Nick and the tannery. A lot of shot stuff, a lot of stuff from Arrow. That's sort of mildly the extent of my knowledge of jackets. Where would you recommend some of the audience get into the right direction for some of these jackets?
Well, I think Shot is doing some fantastic work, and I interviewed Jason Shot years ago, and they started doing something very wise that I think that Rolex is kind of doing with Tudor, where Shot, they have the history. All they have to do is go back to the 1958, 60, and there's the design right there. And then you got Horween Leather making the fantastic leather. It's done. So it took a long time for people like Shot and everybody to get out of the that the thought of the 90s, which was, and Jason will even tell you this, there was that whole thing of like, America is small, medium, large, XL, double X, triple X. And they try to get as many people in to those sizings so they don't have to fuck with patterns and all that shit. And then the 90s hit, and it was a big hip hop, late 90s, early 2000s of baggy shit. So the fitted stuff is really what I was always obsessed with. I couldn't stand putting something on. It just, you spend $1,000 on something that looks awful on you. So Shot is doing a great job. Arrow, fantastic, but Arrow is not easy to just go try on, which is unfortunate. There's nowhere really to. I bought my first Arrow I hope it fits. It came from Scotland. It took fucking 2 months. It came, and I got lucky. It fit, but it was a lot of questions throughout the way. But I think if you want to start, Shot is the best way. And if you could go to the stores like New York, San Francisco, LA, where they have the shops, if you want to get into really radical, amazing, good stuff, then you're going to want to go to places like Standard and Strange or Self Edge. And those are in New York and LA and Portland and Berkeley. And those stores have a quite extensive collection of people from Japan, being Y2, Fine Creek, the real McCoys. These brands are making some of the finest jackets I've ever seen in my life, hands down, and unfortunately, they are an addiction of mine because it's like, wow, look at this. And every time I put one on, they got a 38, they got a 40, they got a 42, they got a 44. They're all slim cut. The patterns have been tweaked for years, so there's no weird pulling in the shoulders. There's no weird, creases in the back. They fit amazing. These guys are obsessed with it, and they tweak every year. So, a Standard and Strange, you go in there, and they'll have the New York shop has probably 500 jackets in there, man.
Wow.
It's fucking wild.
I didn't realize that they were that deep into the jacket.
Very extensive. And definitely the best selection of Japanese jackets I've ever seen. And people go like, why Japan? Well, Japan uses the finest stuff, the greatest zippers, the greatest leather, the greatest liners, the greatest pattern makers. So we're in a serious, glorious era of leather jackets and boots. Brian the Bootmaker, Westco Boots. All these people are just making sick ass stuff.
Man, it's not every day I talk to somebody new that knows any of these names.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Awesome.
Well, I think the number one thing, 100%, is price. People do not understand the price. They see something that's $1,500, $1,800. They're going, man, I can get a jacket for $200. That's, right down at blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, sure you can. I'm not saying you can't. And I'm not saying this is for you. This is for people who understand, somebody who is making one item for the next couple days by hand, one person. And it's a whole different thing. And that's why I love my podcast, The Grail, because when people listen to it and they hear these artisans on there going like, yeah, man, this thing took me a month to make. And then they go, holy shit, a month, and then they start to understand, they get educated on, what it takes to make them. Because, these people, they're out there like, yeah, fuck China, man. It's America. I'm America, man. And they're walking around in made in Chinese boots and jackets and glasses.
iPhones.
Yeah, iPhones, everything. I'm fucking American, man. It's fucking crazy. They don't support any American-made stuff because they're like, it's too expensive. Fuck that, man. They're ripping me off. these fucking assholes are greedy. It's like, no, man. You started buying in China, and then people went out of business. And then, in America, they used to have some of the best shit. Buco was in Detroit. That was a Detroit company. They made the finest leather jacket ever made, the D Pocket J24. It's the coolest jacket. West Coast's been making boots for over 100 years up in Portland, Still here, thank God. There's companies out there, you got to support them. And yeah, they cost more, but they're fucking made way better.
I kind of feel like you might have a blue collar streak in you. Do you have a little blue collar history?
Well, I grew up poor, and I'm still poor in a way of like, I'm dumb because I'll make a little money and I'll just buy jackets because I couldn't have them when I was young.
That's
so
main guitars. Yeah,
that's the same thing, man. So you're like, well, fuck, man, I made a little money tonight. I'm buying a jacket, But yeah, I grew up construction. I played music. I had no money, and I'm far from fucking rich now. I can live in an apartment, but I'm fucking happy, and I love celebrating these people that can make shit, man. People that can weld, people that make choppers, people that make guitars, they make stereos. Those people are like, heroes. It's wild how I watched a guy a couple days ago make an entire motorcycle from the ground up, just he didn't make it. It was completely destroyed and, rusted and been in this garage, and he brought it back to life like brand new, like the day Honda made it. It was crazy. These guys got skills, man. I'm up there telling dick jokes.
Hey, there's a place for all of it. What?
Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah. What? So when you first started finding out that you were interested in, it doesn't have to be leather stuff, but when you were interested in that stuff and you started to make a little bit of scratch and you could get something, do you still have like some of the first things that you bought, and are those still appealing to you, or have you moved on to the Fine Creek and the Buco and the Shot and the Real McCoys and stuff like that?
Well, the way I would get stuff was when I was playing music, I knew what the vintage stuff was. And because I was taught by some fucking experts. There was a guy on Melrose that had a place called Leathers and Treasures. And he went by the Pope of Melrose. This guy in the 80s had the best leather collection I've ever seen in my life in a store. And he sold to people like, Sylvester Stallone, Brad Pitt, Arnold Schwarzenegger. When the movies needed jackets, they went to him. When they needed an expert, this guy taught me everything. Him and a guy at this Marin flea market in NorCal. I never really remembered his name, but he knew everything about vintage jackets and vintage denim, Big E, Levi's, and all that shit. So when I was on the road for years playing music, I would find this shit in Middle America, like a Goodwill. Then I'd bring it back and I'd sell it. And I was constantly like that paperclip guy that flipped a paperclip all the way up to his house. Remember that guy? I traded the paperclip for this skateboard. I traded the skateboard for this bicycle. I traded this bicycle for this motorcycle. This guy traded shit all the way up until he got like a house. So I never really had the scratch, so to speak. I just had the eye and knew how to come home and flip stuff to the dudes in California that were buying stuff like a Leathers and Treasures, or, I would eBay stuff, and guitars and amps also. I was buying Blackface Fender deluxe reverbs and super reverbs and all that shit, and TV juniors, and selling them to Guitar Center in Hollywood. Buy them out on the road for $1,500, sell them for $3,500, shit like that. So to answer your question, as I got stuff, I would keep it. But then if something better came along, I would get rid of it because I was always looking for the holy grail of each thing, the holy grail of boots, the jacket, the holy grail of a watch, eyewear, anything. I just keep flipping till I could get to the one that I really wanted. And now you don't need to flip anymore because that shit's out there. You know, it's like, oh, here it is right here. You know?
I think the obvious question there is what's your grail items of each?
Well, now I think the greatest eyewear ever made is Jacques-Marie Mage. And I'm just blown away what this guy's even fucking doing. You know, a pair of glasses takes 2 years to make each batch because it's this Japanese acetate that he goes over and studies these Japanese acetate libraries. He finds vintage, insane acetates. He hand makes the hinges, which are 8-barrel instead of like 3 or 4. You know, most people just buy their eyewear at a fucking truck stop or whatever. But back in the old days of like Persol and that stuff like Steve McQueen would wear and shit, that stuff was amazing. And most eyewear was made in Italy. Now it's made in Japan. So the grail, I don't have to search for old vintage shit anymore because all this stuff is new and it's better. Jackets, all my jackets are Real McCoy or Y2 now, strictly only. My boots, all of them are pretty much Brian the Bootmaker. And my denim is Free Note, who's a couple guys over in Highland Park, Los Angeles. I'm wearing Free Note denim made in Los Angeles with Japanese denim. So everything's there now, which makes it kind of nice because after a while you get kind of burnt on flipping shit. Like eBay kept taking more and more money. You know, when I first started eBay in the 90s, you post stuff up, it'd be 50 cents and that'd be it. You could sell something for 20 grand and it would cost you 50 cents. No fees, nothing.
Right.
And now they're at 13%. So anything you sell, they take 13% off. Craigslist used to flip and do all kinds of shit on there. Now it's just loaded with dudes like, show me your dick. You know, like just weirdos out there, you know, hey, can I come by? No, fuck no, you can't come by. People are crazy out there. I meet everybody. If I sell on Craigslist, I meet them at a Starbucks and I bring someone with me, you know?
Right.
The buddy system.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, you know?
It is crazy out there.
Yeah, so the flipping has become kind of burnt and it's a lot of work, man. Hustling when you're like me and you don't have a lot of money, hustling, boy, it is gnarly. So now I hustle my ass in the comedy world, just getting on stage every night, writing jokes, tweaking the jokes, traveling, going to club. And that is my hustle now. I invest in myself and the clothes I enjoy wearing on stage, man. There's nothing better when you post a photo on stage and someone goes, that's a fucking sick ass jacket. You know, I mean, in between the other comments of like, you look like a gay man on the fucking dead. It's like, yeah. I get it, dude. You're in fucking middle America. You're fat. You're eating Cheetos. You're angry. I get it. Go take it out at the gym. Take it out with your body.
Yeah, I kind of feel like your interest in all the jackets, eyewear, jeans, that type of stuff. That it kind of sounds like you have I don't know if this is a very kind way to say it, like very deep appreciation for the craft of that. And I think you kind of have to have that to be a comedian. From what I hear is like, I've never told a joke in my life, but I kind of feel like those comedians, you have to iterate and test and do things over and over. And it feels like you might just have the like personality. Do you think that's what it is?
Well, I think when you're a comedian, you have to get used to right away failing. Because you don't just get on and kill. I mean, there's maybe 3 people in the history of comedy that you hear like, yeah, man, the guy, fucking Dave Chappelle, he was like 16 and went to New York and was just killing out of the gate. There's a couple people out there like that, but for the most part, you're getting on, you're failing. You got to be able to pick yourself back up and then get back on stage and try it again. And so I really relate with these people that say, fuck, quote unquote, the man, fuck the man. And they go out and they work for their self. No guarantee that anybody's going to want to buy a pair of boots that they're making. Who the fuck's going to know who I am? How am I going to do it? And then failing with jacket patterns or boot patterns or whatever. And where is your comedy? In comedy, they say, find your own voice. It takes years to find your own voice. When you first start comedy, you're kind of doing a spin on different people. Same with music. You do music, we kind of sound like AC/DC meets Journey or whatever, somebody's going to say. But eventually these people that really kick ass, say a Brian the Bootmaker, they find their own voice. Same with the comedians that you love. They find their own voice, and then it starts to hit. And all the pretenders just kind of go to the side that thought they were going to get rich doing something. They're doing it because they want to get rich. I remember all the people that started podcasts when I started 12 years ago. Man, I did it for like 4 months. I didn't make any money. I go, yeah, I'm still not making money. That's not why I'm doing it. The fuck are you talking about? Well, I at least want to get famous. That's the Kardashian effect.
Yeah, it's the wrong
People
reason.
are like, well, fuck, she sucked a dick, and now she's fucking billionaire. It's like, well, you're just you're gonna bypass all the hard work, I guess.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, a lot of people sucking dick out there. They're not billionaires, It's fucking wild.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think that you have to, when you start doing something, you have to be doing it because you like it and not because it's a meal ticket. I think that because if you don't care about it, people can see right through that. I think that I had a conversation with Brett Weiberg a long time ago, and he's like the one thing that you can't fake is authenticity. I mean, and you can try to fake it, but people always eventually see through it. So if you don't want to be doing it, or you're trying to make it look like you're doing something that you're not, like you can fool people a little bit, but it's not something that you can that is like a long-term thing. And then eventually, the product also is not as good either if you're not passionate about it. So like Brian the Bootmaker is a great example, because I don't think I haven't seen his books, but I don't think he's doing that because he wants to drive a Bentley. I think he's doing it because he loves it. And I think he gets to do something that he gets to take something, take the component parts and make something into something that someone else can use and that they love. And like, that is, I mean, to be cheesy about it, like that is like kind of part of the payment that he's receiving. So I think that you have to sort of accept that, I mean, just to speak from my own, I mean, like leather tanning is not the most lucrative business in the universe, but it's fun and it's different, and it's awesome to make something out of something that I think is beautiful out of something that's arguably pretty gross.
Well, I mean, when I went to the factory, I was just fucking thrilled, because you're seeing the process of this incredible product being made, and I compare it a lot of times to the denim that comes already worn in. I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking for the fast track, which would be the worn in denim, instead of breaking it in their self and having memories and stories. That's what, to me, the Horween Tannery is. It's like, it's been there a zillion years. It's family owned. They got fucking stories, Where'd you get this? How do you do that? why do you keep doing it? Because there's such a cheaper, easier route. It's like, well, we need this, man. Without this stuff, it's going to all be that fucking pleather, Yugoslavian, weird plastic leather, or anything that you're looking for. You find the finest pieces, and then you look at the knockoffs of that stuff, and it's always just garbage. No soul, and no hard work, no sweat, no stories.
I heard a sad statistic today that 20% of holiday shopping goes to two companies. One of them is Temu, and another one is another thing that's just like that, which is, $10 or less, anything you want. So I don't know, sad state of affairs where, it's very much price driven for people for something they're going to wear once and throw it out.
Well, look at the eye world. Eyewear is 98% of the eyewear is made by one company now, Luxottica. And, they bought crushing companies like Ray-Ban and Persol and Varney, all these companies that were, independently owned, and the quality was over the top. And now they're all just made in one shitty factory, and they're blasted out super cheap to sell in sunglass huts all around America. And as soon as you pick it up, you go like, oh man, what is this? So it's it's a corporate world out there, and that's over any politics. People are like, yeah, fuck you, you're red. Oh, fuck you, you're blue. It's like, nah, man, fuck the corporations. They are the end, the greed of that, and the poisons in the earth. How is Roundup still sold when everybody knows this stuff 100% causes everyone to have some kind of cancer right now? And you just go up to Home Depot, and there it is out front by the barrels. I have no idea, So I think what you have to do is just choose the stuff that makes you happy in life, and then wait to see what's going to kill you.
Roundup, most likely Roundup.
100% Roundup, or the PFAs or whatever, the fucking plastics.
Yeah.
Plastics in the bottles. So life is too short for me. I enjoy these people. I enjoy their stories, and I enjoy wearing this stuff. And I love traveling around the world and meeting these people, man. And Japan is loaded with some of the greatest people I've ever met. They're just so into design and quality. And that's how America used to be. They used to be so obsessed with design and quality in the automobile world, in the, the architecture world, and all of that.
I want to talk about process with you really quick. Just kind of backtrack a little bit to your profession. But in the same way that you appreciate Nick's Tannery for being this insane working museum that's been there for 100 plus years, and appreciate the process of that, there's this comedian that's probably like the Horween equivalent. You might have heard of this Jerry Seinfeld guy, but he had this method, which you were sort of indicating at something earlier, similar, called "Don't Break the Chain." And I always followed this comedic advice in my business life. So essentially what he would do is practice his craft every day. And the method was take a calendar and you make an X in the day that you did the thing. So write a joke, sew a leather wallet, or whatever your craft is, right? And his whole thing was don't break the chain. I think he's still doing it today, right? So it's like that. The question here is what are you doing? What's your method for coming up with jokes?
Well, if you look at my Seinfeld's one of the greats. I saw him tons of times in the 90s.
Oh, you've heard of him? Okay.
Yeah. And I mostly know him from his car collection. I'm a Porsche freak.
He's got some good ones.
Yeah, that's not true though. I think that he's one of the best to ever do it, especially what he did. here's a guy who's kind of a, kind of a known comedian. And he does a sitcom, and it absolutely breaks all the records. And in the meantime, he didn't give up and stop doing that. He kept doing comedy. The guy is getting richer and richer, but he's like, no, I'm a comedian first. And I got lucky with the sitcom, but I'm a comedian. So if you look at my phone, I've been doing comedy exactly yesterday, 14 and a half years. I started December 6, 2009. I've kept a journal in my phone of every spot I've ever done. So right now I'm at 186 spots for the year.
Wow.
So that'll let you know what kind of work I've done. Yeah, this year,
June.
this year.
Or it's July now.
Yeah, July 3rd or 2nd.
So that's every day.
But I go on sometimes twice, 3 times a day. I've been doing that since the day I started, and I'm almost at 6,000 spots. So I do comedy. The whole reason I wake up each day is to do comedy. And like I said, no guarantee of money, no guarantee of success, nothing. I could have easily put the amount of grind I've done in comedy into anything else, and I would be absolutely a multimillionaire because my work ethic is insane. I get it from my mom, rest in peace. But I chose something that made me happy over monetary success. And that's really where I'm winning in life, especially in this awful times that we're in. Because at any time, something could happen to you. And I got ran over on my motorcycle on the highway. I remember sliding down the freeway. I thought I was about to die. And I said to myself, no regrets. So if you can lay down on your deathbed and say no regrets, you've done it right. And so, yeah, man. And that's just that's a heavy thing because a lot of people get backed into a marriage they're not into, or credit card debt, or divorces, or whatever. And then their dreams go away, which is a weird thing. But, so to go back to your thing, each day I get up, I have some ideas, and I write on stage. So I get on stage and I try this stuff, and then I have to get on stage again and try it again with the tweaks. Okay, it didn't work like this. I got to get on again and try it this other way. Or maybe it does work for a week and then it stops working. Jokes are weird. Sometimes they work right out of the gate. And you're like, oh, fuck, I got a new bit. And then it never works again. It was just the magic of the night, your excitement and the way you delivered it. So there's no real true, you couldn't sit down and you could write a book and tell people how you did it, but everybody is different in the comedy world. If you interview 10 of the biggest comics, they're all going to be different. But the main thing they're going to say, all of them, is get on stage. That's the only way you can get good. It's like being in the NFL. You couldn't just be in the NFL once a month. You'd be awful. Put them in.
Yeah.
Bam.
Are you were saying you wake up and you write jokes, but it sounded you're maybe not as disciplined as that? Or is it like I set a timer and at 9 a.m. I'm writing jokes?
No, I don't do that. There's no discipline. To me, I wrote songs for 25 years. I played music. And now I write jokes. To me, you have to get up and you have to go out and live life. Now, some people are one-liner joke writers, and that's a different mechanism. They understand the bump, 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 which is set up, punch, then like a left turn, like a Stephen Wright or a fucking Mitch Hedberg. These guys are crusher one-line dudes. But that's a different type of writing. The writing that a lot of comedians do that I love are the people that are telling you stories about their life. Even, Jerry, what's the deal with airports? That's because he was fucking in those things every day. We're all in airports. So now you're in airports all the time. So are the other comedians. So now you have to figure out how to say something that's not like the other 9 guys. Like right now, the Hawk Tui bitch. Everybody's going to have some Hawk Tui joke, And I try to stay away from the current shit because it's only going to be good for about a week. And I just keep mining my life and stories that happened to me. And
that's really interesting. If you were to, and I'll ask you about the music process too, but as I asked that question, I asked myself the question, and it's like, where do ideas come from for music? And it's usually like listening to music or just noodling and doing it, right? So it kind of sounds like comedy is just reflecting life back out into the world.
That's 100% what it is. And I remember one time I got this joke that killed, and I was telling another comedian, a famous comedian, that I was like, fuck, it was crazy, man. It just came out of nowhere. And he said, don't they all? And it's so fucking real. You have to have your eyes open and your face out of your phone and looking around to be able to capture stuff. Like, look at this dick over here. Today, there's a guy walking down my street. He was wearing a crown. Just walking down the street. He's got skinny jeans on, some those fry boots with the square toe and the brass ring, Yeah. And he's got like a fucking suede jacket on. He looks like he's out of Midnight Cowboy, and he's wearing a crown. And I was like, this fucking guy. I was like, you can see him in my Instagram feed. I was actually fired up. I wasn't like, fuck this guy. I was like, this guy, he got up and put that on.
I'm looking at him. I want to see it. I'm looking right now.
It's in the stories. He went another level than my white polar bear jacket.
Yeah.
Crown. He's cruising down the street in a crown.
So do you see that and you go like, oh, I gotta come up with a joke for this? Is that how it works?
Well, I mean, there's nothing. Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Okay, so you're like always thinking like, that's a joke.
Yeah, you just put it down in your phone as dude in a crown.
I mean, honestly, it made me laugh before you said anything.
Yeah, and then you're just on stage and you're like, you're like, man, I was having a bad day. And then this guy walked by me just wearing a fucking crown on Vermont Avenue at 9. Like, where is he going to work? Like, where's he wearing that crown? Did you see it yet, Nick?
No, I'm looking right now.
Yeah. It's in the stories.
I'll look too. Okay. That's where I'll look.
There's a lot of stories probably in there.
Hey, while we're looking for this very important photo, I see your Metallica shirt. What's your favorite Metallica album?
Oh, I don't even have to think about it. It's Injustice for All.
Yes. Even though they turned down Jason, that's the best
I don't
one.
care. I don't care about that. I think that's exactly.
It's the sound of it.
Well, it's also and it's also one of the things that makes it fucking epic is all the people that still to this day go, we're fucking put on the bass. They're still talking about that 30 years later. Did you find Crown Guy?
No, I'm having a hard time finding it.
What? It's in my stories. Here, I'll put it up right here. I'll show you.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, put it up.
Here's Crown Guy. Hold on, let me find him.
I found him.
Okay. Found it.
He's like listening on his phone, speakerphone.
Yeah, he's listening to something on his fucking phone.
Oh, speakerphone too? That's
it's
where
like,
he lost me. I'm with the Crown. Take it off speaker.
There he is.
Yeah, look at this guy.
It's like Saturday Night Fever. I mean, like, look at that guy. He's fucking on.
Is it I'm interesting. I'm wondering where he got this crown. If it's plastic or where. I mean, it looks.
It was like a real crown. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a Burger King crown, the cardboard one. You know.
Hey, I want to plug your podcast, Let There Be Talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after you mentioned Injustice for All. I kind of knew you might be a little bit of a prog guy because I'm like a huge prog metal kind of dude. And you did the episode recently with Queensryche. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I was surprised you didn't go harder on what I think is their best album. You were listening to the greatest hits, you said.
Well, what happened was I have all the records, but then I saw greatest hit in there, and I was like, most people mind a hit is a song that's in the top 10. That's But then there's
I think
rock.
They did have a couple hits though, yeah.
Well, yeah, they had Silent Lucidity, but I'm saying then there's rock hits that are, you know what I mean, like rock hits to the rock people. Like Warning is a rock hit. Like, oh man, that's a hit. No, it's not. It was never in the charts, but it is a hit in the rock world.
For me, to me, their greatest hits album should just be Operation Mindcrime, and I'm good. Just all of it.
Well, I mean, you can just buy that already.
I know, it's just so good. Anyways.
Yeah, but the record company needs to fucking make money 18 different times on the same song, so that's not going to happen. Remastered, remixed.
They did this. Yes.
Set, outtakes.
I'm looking at it right now. It says remastered
the
in 2003.
Ultimate remaster. Don't forget about the ultimate remaster. The gold mobile
gold edition.
Mobile fidelity. Finally back on vinyl. On vinyl again. the 180 milligram vinyl, 200 milligram vinyl. It's just like each time the band's getting fucking no money. Each time. It's fucking nuts.
I wonder though too if there's like a leather tie-in here to like the 80s, 70s metal with the Rob Halford stuff. Because I sent you guys before we got on here, Hellbent for Leather.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, is it a gay thing or is it a motorcycle thing or is it both?
Well, I grew up in San Francisco, so it was heavily gay and it was metal. So I often tell this story. In the 10th grade, I bought my first leather jacket. It was a shot, and I got it from a store on Polk Street, which is a gay neighborhood, called Hard On Leathers. And so,
good name.
Yeah. So for me,
don't beat around the bush.
At the time, you got Maiden, you got Saxon, you got, all of the early metal guys are wearing leather, but at the same time, you have Outlaw Motorcycle Clubs, you have Marlon Brando from The Wild One, and you have the Fonz, because I'm 58 and the Fonz was fucking big in the 70s. So there was leather influence all over the place. But to wear a shot 1-star motorcycle jacket to school in the 10th grade in 1982 is so fucking radical. I can't even tell you how insane it was. And, because people are like, whoa, and that's when Metallica Ride the Lightning is really starting to fucking hit. And, everybody starts wearing jackets. So you're wearing leather out with your friends and you're playing music. I'm in a band, I'm playing music, I'm wearing leather, but to wear it in school when people were wearing OP shorts and, those brands that they sold at like Miller's Outposts, it was,
you got me.
It was pretty radical. It was pretty radical. Let's just say it the least,
So that you kind of keyed in on something Nick and I talked in the past episode is this like generational skipping of trends. So it's like 1950s leather, maybe military came back again in the 80s. Maybe it's back again now. I forget what it was. The other thing, Nick, that had the same sort of cyclicality of like nostalgia, but it's like nostalgia from your parents that you somehow inherit. It's interesting.
Well, I think leather never went away. It was the different styles. So look, you got the biker leather, and then one of the greatest leather jacket designs, I think, that is one of the most underrated jackets, and I own two now, but it took me a long time to find ones that would fit, was the car coat. And to me, Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, he wore a car coat on the cover of Spin magazine, and at the same time, you had a movie called Drugstore Cowboy with Matt Dillon. Now, this became a total other look where it was kind of the junky, leather car coat. And that was around all through the 70s with mob guys. If you look at any kind of old 70s New York footage, they're all wearing leather car coats, all of them. So the leather has always been around. Then you got into the 70s of the fringe and, kind of suede, that
Beautiful.
kind of like, those jackets were going on. And then, here comes the bell bottoms and that kind of Allman Brothers look. So they were always around. It was just different cuts.
I see. Huh.
Never went away. Same with denim. Denim never went away. It was just different cuts. Bell bottom, elephant bell, skinny jeans, flare, 517 boot cut. You just go through it. But the denim has always been around. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Sometimes I think there's two things there. Sometimes I think that when they do that with jeans and stuff, it's like it's just an excuse or a way to sell more jeans. It's
of course.
Like just wear the jeans that look good, that fit, right? You don't need to like keep changing them. I mean, I guess that there's certain reasons that each one of those exists, and maybe they get pulled in and out of culture for whatever reason. But I don't know. I'm happy that the skinny jeans went away. I think that.
Well,
that where we're at now is much better.
I'm into them.
Well, here's the thing.
It's good to look at.
I think, and I recently have given up on some skinny jeans. I've just kind of put them up on eBay. But I think what happens is body styles are what makes a cut work for somebody. Now, if you're short, like me, I'm 5'6" on a good day. I loved bell bottoms, but they don't look good on me like they look like on Chris Robinson or, from the Black Crowes or Dwayne Allman, because when you're tall, or Lenny Kravitz, you have this long, slender body, and then you got like a cool cut down below. If you're short like me, then your legs just look like little fucking, sticks. And you're going like the bell bottom is out wide and it makes you look shorter. You have to understand clothing cuts to your body. And a lot of people walk around, they're wearing shit that's popular, but their body isn't right for it. And a perfect example, when skinny jeans hit, all the people were skinny, that were wearing them. The rock stars, the Strokes, the yeahs, Kings of Leon. They're wearing skinny jeans and a leather jacket, but they're skinny. You can't wear skinny jeans if you're fat. You look like a fucking, upside down bowling pin. It's just fucking, it's nuts. And so I didn't wear skinny jeans till I lost weight. And now I feel when I saw them in photos, I'm like, hey, I'm 58. I'm just going to go to a 7 1/4, 7.5 leg hole. That just looks like a normal, slim straight, they call it, where it's just one shape all the way down. And that is my jean I wear now, the cut I wear now. But I've worn them all my life. I wore bell bottoms. I wore elephant bells. I wore skinny jeans. I wore the 517 boot cut. I wore the 501 for years. So, you're constantly trying to find your fit. And once you do, and you see a few photos, you go, that looks good on my body, And that's what you should stick to no matter what the fucking fashion trend is.
You got me earlier when you said the grail items for kind of the reason you got me is for what you're saying now is like things kind of change. So like with the guitars, like I have a lot of bass guitars here.
Yeah.
But I use them, so it's like one day I'm feeling a Stingray. The other day I want to play a jazz bass.
Right.
But like I kind of feel like I do search for the ultimate and it's always elusive. So it's kind of
Well, it changes. What your idea of the ultimate, at least for me, like your idea of like whatever the ultimate is, has changed. changes all the time.
Well, also I think, and I just talked about a guy I went to a Porsche show on Sunday here in LA, and he and we enjoy the chase more than the item once we have it. Meaning, like, let's say you've always wanted a Rolex Daytona. That's like the unobtainable, pretty much for money, price, and obtainability. You can't just go into a Rolex and go, hey, I want a Daytona. And the guy said, I finally got one. Do you like it? And I go, I mean, it's more, it's more the fuck. No, because he felt the same way. It's more the chase, and then you get it. And then you're like, I got the Daytona. That's how he felt. I could tell. And, it's like, well, it's cool, but it's more of the chase.
Mm-hmm.
Much rather have a $3,500 Speedmaster, and so yeah, it's really about the chase. I think for me,
Agreed.
It gets me up each day. And with guitars, when I collected guitars, it was like, okay, I need a P90 guitar because I need P90 tone. Then I need a Telly tone because I love Tellys for singer-songwriter. Then I need a 59 Les Paul because you've got to have the Jimmy Page. It's just the ultimate, right? And then you're going like, and then I need like
maybe like a Strat in there.
A Strat, but I'm not going to play it much. I'm not that good of a player. You got to be good to play a Strat because it really exposes you. So now you've got your 4 guitars you need if you're playing live like I was. And now you're looking for the best of each one over the years because you plug in a time and you're like, oh, the pickups suck on this. It sounds like ice picks. Oh, this one, it's got low output pickups. Oh, this fucking guitar weighs 4 million pounds. This one's got a broke headstock. Then you finally find it. All right, I got the ultimate Telly. Now I need to find the ultimate P90 Les Paul. So you're back to the search. You're in the stores. You're strumming. You're playing. You're looking. You finally find that one. It just goes like that,
Yeah.
And I think part of the fun in life is a treasure hunt, man. When I was young, they gave me a map. I was at a boys club camp, and they were like, here's the treasure hunt. Go find this stuff. And it's fucking beautiful. You're just out in the forest looking for shit they hid. And that's what life is, man. You're just looking for shit they hid from you until you fucking drop dead. Now, some people have no fucking desire for anything. They can just wake up each day and live. And I fucking worship those people. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you just not give a fuck what you wear, what you drive, where you work? That is nuts.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I was just thinking, as you were talking about guitars though, like that, I guess I didn't, because I don't and haven't and probably won't collect guitars, but I wasn't thinking about how important maybe it's not important, the individual sample is, like where it's been, what it's been through, how it's been abused or not. Like that seems like that would be like an endless pursuit.
Well, it is. And it will drive people crazy. You'll go to their house and they'll have like 50 guitars. Joe Bonamassa is a friend of mine, but he collects them all because he's really keeping the beauty of these fucking masterpiece instruments, which I consider some of the greatest American made art on the planet. If you go into a museum and there's 10 of the greatest guitars, they'll stop you in your track like a Picasso. They absolutely will. If you have any kind of pulse in your body,
got everything.
You'll stop. Yeah, and you'll just look at it. It's design, it's smell. It's a lot like leather, where they went through phases where they didn't use nitrocellulose paint anymore. They went to plastics. It's just like leather. Those guitars sound like shit. They switched wood, different wood. This wood's cheaper now. Oh, well, those guitars sound like shit. And they're back now making the guitars like they made in the 50s. And that's what people are doing with leather jackets, and people are doing with, cars and motorcycles and everything, and home stereos, man. Macintosh is still, they're back. They went through the transistor area, and watches, same thing. They went through the quartz era, then they come back to the heart and soul.
Interesting. I was talking to, and I don't mean to keep bringing it back to leather. That's just what I know. But
it's the name of the show, Nick.
I was talking to a guy who runs a German tannery, and he was saying he's on the younger side, and he's involved, like gotten to be really involved in the tannery, and he was going back through like their formulations, and they've been in business longer than we have, so it's like a really old place.
Wow.
And he was just like noticing like all of these steps and processes that had been like sort of incrementally added over the years. And it was like, oh yeah, no, we added this because, it was getting really foamy one time. So we put in 1% of, XYZ brand additive, and like that killed the foam. And so, so we just add that in now. And there were like, he was going through this stuff. And so he went through and he cut out like 70% of the stuff, and basically just kind of took them back in time to where they were before they started adding all this stuff in. And, his own admission, he's like, there's some of that stuff that we needed to have in there. Like I couldn't just like take it all out and like leave it out. And it was right. Cause things are different now than they were, but just the amount of superfluous stuff that gets added in, that's been added in over the years, just because that's like whatever, for whatever reason. So I think that that's, to your point, like going back into the archives and just looking at something that was made in 1950 and just being like, why don't we make it like this anymore?
Right.
And a lot of times there's not really a great reason other than, no, it's labor intensive, or it uses too much of this, or
this is gone. Yeah. They don't make this anymore.
Right.
Something that you need. That's the one of the major ones. They just don't have that anymore, Tanning, leather tannery, and I talked to you about this when I was at the factory. Look, you got horsehide, but then how's it tan? Because Arrow's horsehide, I still think to this day, is the best feeling on me because it gets gooey. But their specific, formula that they get from you is different than somebody else's formula, which is wild to me. All made in the same fucking factory. So like, wait a minute, this is the Arrow's horsehide over here, but this is Shots Horween horsehide over here. Totally different feel, different look, everything. So that's wild to me also. I've never had a jacket feel like an Arrow jacket. I don't own one now anymore because I lost weight. It didn't fit me, and there's nowhere that sells Arrow. And I think they split off. It's different now. There's like two different.
They're back.
There
was a different one. They're back though.
They had a little.
It's a long story.
It's not really that long of a story. I mean, they had a guy who was running the factory who was like stealing from them a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And it was a real problem, and he was stealing, merchandise and patterns, and then there was like a splinter version of it. But they kept doing what they were doing the whole time. It's just, I think they were, rightly so, a little distracted trying to protect what they were trying to do. But that's interesting you say that it's different, because I think that, the same, like they don't have an exclusive, like they order what they order because that's what they want. And
right.
Same, so the things that go to Arrow or Shot or vice versa, we don't, it's not that we play favorites, but Arrow's been a customer for like a very long time. So they do get a lot of the horsehide that we have at times, which is not very much these days. But
why is that? Is it going away?
The horsehides?
Yeah. Or are people just not buying it anymore?
People aren't eating it is the real answer. Because, right. We're byproducts. So we're only, we're getting it as a result of the animal being raised for food.
Right.
And people just aren't eating a lot of horse anymore. Well, they still are, but not not in the normal places. I think that, Canada used to be a traditional place where we could get horse hides, and that's become more and more of a challenge just because there's less going on there. But there's still demand. So like where the animals are raised is being shifted. So we're just having to explore, how to source things from different places. But there are a surprising number of there's a surprising amount of raw material available in the world. It's just not the kind that we want. They're too small, or they're in the wrong places, or both. Usually it's both.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny because Arrow, there was a shop on Melrose. I don't even remember what they were called. It was big. And you go in there and they'd have those Arsenio Hall stop sign leathers and shit. But over in the corner, they had Arrow. And this was probably in the maybe mid 90s, late 90s or something. Hard to remember the time frames. But they had Arrow, man. I remember putting them on like, these are fucking amazing. And they went through some changes. They had big, dumb, goofy logos in there with airplanes and everything. And then they started getting rid of that, and they started just making like the Elvis reproduction, like a motorcycle jacket that he wore, the Brando kind of one. And they were like really the first to me where I was like, holy shit, these are fucking like vintage jackets, And I really love them. And there's a place in Portland, I believe, that sells them, but no store, nothing. So it's just like useless. You can't go in and try one on. It's a tough place to, unless you go to Scotland and you can go to the place. My buddy went to the place and got a jacket, and he sold it to me. It's fucking great. He bought it. He's like, it doesn't really fit. And it fit me perfect.
Yeah. The interesting thing that you're keying in on, since we're going to be leather nerds on the show here, Arrow uses multiple different leathers. A lot of it is a leather tannage called Chrome Excel that Nick is a proprietary leather tannage that Nick makes. And Nick likes to make this analogy a lot with cooking. So anybody can make a sandwich, we can all have the same ingredients, but the three of us are going to make it completely different. So you could give Arrow some Chrome Excel and Shot some Chrome Excel and me some Chrome Excel, and we're all going to make a different jacket, right? So it's easy to credit the leather because it is nice, but the makers have a lot of that, should get a lot of the credit as well, because you could very easily ruin that very nice leather with poor construction methods. For example, if you're stitching too close together, you might perforate the leather and it just rips. So the material is certainly important, but I think Nick and his family would agree that the stars of the shows are always the people making the stuff.
But definitely, jackets are particularly demanding in like a lot of different ways. I mean, just making them is tough. There's a ton of leather in there. I mean, they're expensive because just the leather cost, or just the material cost, is way high when you compare it to almost anything else. And the patterning is so, you can't even like overstate like how important the patterning is. I mean, just if you look next time, I mean, I know you guys have done this, but if you next time, someone that's listening, if you go look at a leather jacket, like just look at the seams that like go over your shoulders and like where everything is joined together, and how many layers of leather have to be integrated into each other and seamlessly join without becoming like bulky or too thick or too firm. I mean, it could be, in some places it's 4 or 6 thicknesses of leather where things are coming together, and just has to look like there's like it's just a normal like stitch line. I just think that jackets are a nice jacket that's that started off like brand new, and like I'm sure like some of the stuff that you have, Dean, where it starts off new and you actually work for the fit and the age, and it sort of forms to you, and you get the wear points where the wear points are supposed to be. I mean, there's almost no better example of a leather aging than that.
Well, there's an interesting trend that's been going on in the last 3 years in Japan, mostly with a company called Fine Creek, that I am not a fan of, and it's T-Core, where the jacket is brown and then it's, like almost painted black, and it's made to break in fast and look aged. And like, their big thing is like, look at this, it's only 8 months old. Yeah, but it's brown now. I don't want a brown motorcycle leather. I want black. So I can't look at those jackets. They're soft, they're broken, they're cool, but they're fucking brown. I need black, 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 black leather. And it's all in that T-core. And you can tell because they put the leather piece on the pool. So if it's T-core or not. The front will be black and you turn it over and it's brown underneath. So that jacket's going to turn brown. And Fine Creek does it like crazy. And it was a real hot trend for about 2 years. But now I'm seeing these jackets on Instagram where I look at jackets all day long. And I'm just kind of like, oh, this fucking jacket's brown, man.
You don't like the effect, the depth of it?
No, I think
it's zero for you.
I want to jump in. I think that because a Chrome Excel and a lot of stuff that we do is T-core, but I think that where that sort of approach falls flat is when you make something that's supposed to age quickly, it always falls flat. Right. Like if you make something and it's jet black and it's on a natural back or a T-core, and after 10 years it starts to get brown in the elbows and around the seams and stuff, great. And like the zipper, like that's one thing. But if 8 months in, the dye's flying off, and like it's not gonna keep looking better at that point. You're on the decline. And I think that the main selling point of leather that we talk about all the time is that the worst it's ever going to look is going to be day one, and it's going to start looking better as you go, which is the inverse of a lot of different things. Like if like a pair of white sneakers, like out of the box, like that's the best they're going to look. And every single day you wear them, they're going to get a little bit dirtier and they're going to start to look worse. I mean, I guess it's the eye of the beholder at that point, but just like when you start to try to find a shortcut to make something look the way, it's like, just to go back to the pre-faded jeans example, it's sort of like a half measure where like you're not giving someone a jacket that's already distressed, but you're almost doing that.
Right. I'll tell you what I've really been loving lately. And it's another company that just doesn't have jackets anywhere. You got to go to London, is Lewis. And the colored leathers they're doing, I got a turquoise one. They're mind-boggling, man. They got green, they got yellow, they got red, they got turquoise, they got dark blue, they have white. And those are the classic leathers that you saw the Clash wear. You saw some of the guys in the Sex Pistols wore. Bon Scott had a Lewis at one point. That is a super amazing company. And the Lewis in Japan is really killing it right now with just the colors and everything. I love a good colored horsehide, a blue turquoise, a white that turns kind of bone, weird yellowed over time. I love seeing that shit. You see some of these guys wear these colored leathers that are like, 20 years old, and they're just fucking another level of cool.
I'm not familiar with the Lewis. Is it like a very, in terms of the luster of like a turquoise leather, is it really bright and shiny for the luster, or is it sort of like a matte?
No, they're bright, but they do turn matte over the time. They're like they're horsehide. So, whenever you see a horsehide jacket, other than maybe some of that don't have a finish on them, they start bright and then they start to kind of dull tone down a little bit. But the turquoise in particular is so fucking mind-boggling. And unfortunately, mine is hair tight, so I don't get to wear it as much as I want to. And I wish that, like I said, I wish there was a Lewis around here to where I could go in and go, oh, I'm actually a 40, not a 38, because I'm a 38 on a lot of jackets and I'm 40 on some. So next time I go to London or Japan, I'm thinking of going to Japan in November for the inspiration show, because they got the Zip Air now. You can fly to Japan for $300. So
From LA?
Yeah, I haven't been
my
to Japan
That's
since
amazing.
2006. So I really need to go to Japan, and I'm thinking about going in November and just interviewing people and doing a show while I'm out there, a podcast and video and stuff.
Hell yeah.
I really need to go now because my knowledge is so much more extensive than when I was there in 06 and 04.
I just did I was a co-host on a different show called Stitch Down Shoecast. And the host over there just went to Japan and filmed 3 days at a bunch of stores that you would love. And he said over the next couple of months, he'll be releasing some videos of all these places. And my takeaway from it was he sort of made like an amazing little like tour route of places that you, Dean, would want to check out. So when that's out, maybe I'll link it to you. But it sounds like a bunch of stuff you're into. He documented there.
But Japan is fucking nuts, man. Like you go to Tokyo and you go to this neighborhood, like say you go to Shinjuku or whatever, and you're in there and you're going down this street and you go, what's this store? And you go in and it's like, oh, I want to look like Robert Plant in 1972. So it's like, oh, they got like turquoise necklaces and bell bottoms and fringe jackets and you know, old fucking fry looking boots, but it's all new and killer. And you go, all right, fuck, let's go to this next store. And you go in and you go, oh, this is like, you want to look like Marlon Brando in The Wild One or the Stray Cats. You want to be rockabilly. This is all 50s clothing, handkerchiefs that are handmade from such and such. And, you know, the big barrel cut jeans and crazy weird hats and fucking armbands and shit. Then you go in the next store and you're like, oh, this is straight hipster, you know, skinny denim and cool like jackets that are like, you know, from what's that place called in San Fran? It was musical. I forget what it's called. It's this fucking company that made these cool jackets, man. They made one called the Smuggler and it had a pocket underneath the collar where you could hide cocaine. That's what their San Francisco Musical Instruments, I believe is what it's called. But anyway, you're in this neighborhood and every store is a full-on specialty store. And you're like, this is insane. And it's all the highest quality shit, you know? And then there's a Westco Japan. There's a Lewis Japan. There's a Langlet's Japan. And you go in there and you're like, I can't even believe the shit in here. It's unreal.
Also, timing is good to go there because the yen is not doing well and the dollar.
Oh, that's why it's so great to go right now.
I guess they're pissed because there's so many Americans. And
I saw that.
Another takeaway from this podcast we did was the local Japanese people in Tokyo were very concerned about the etiquette disruption for their culture because I guess people just show up and they're a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. If you're a dick over there, man, you're a dick because they are some of the nicest people on the planet, and their passion and how clean everything is and just amazing people. So if you're over there like a fucking animal, oh, I can't believe you don't got a fucking Burger King here, man. What is this fucking bullshit, man? Why are you wearing a mask, fucking pussy? You know, if you're over there for that, what are you doing? You know, it's fucking beautiful there. I would live there in a minute if I didn't do comedy. I would just figure out how to be a U.S. kind of ambassador for some of these brands. And that's what I would do in life. I would be over there engulfed in denim and leather and fine, you know, everything. Just, it would be great.
I mean, you'd be a killer
like Robert Plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I got to go. I want to go to Japan's my number one bucket list place to go.
Yeah, I've never been. I'd love to go too.
Well,
let's go, Phil.
Well, Zip Airlines flies out of New York also, so just pop over from Chicago and then fly out of there, man. First class, $1,300 with a bed, and then regular flights $280. That's like
crazy.
How is that possible?
Yeah, it's just a new airline. They only go to Japan, and they're out of New York and LA, and I think San Fran. That's it, man. All day long, you know.
Yeah, I could get there for $600 probably.
100%.
Yeah, no, I mean, you taught me a bunch of stuff today already. I mean, I don't know. I need to pay attention to what you're doing. Like because I had known or heard about Lewis Leathers, but I hadn't been on that website in probably 12 years, and I completely forgot about them. And like, that's awesome stuff. So I need to
follow Lewis Leathers on the Japan one though on Instagram.
Yeah,
because you can go Lewis London, but Lewis has got a great website too, by the way. But get into the Instagram hashtag Lewis Leathers on Instagram. Just follow that hashtag. Each fucking dude, like, look at it. Every 5 minutes, a jacket comes up from them, and I'm just like, fuck, you know, I need that. It's like 800 degrees here.
Yeah, I was thinking that as you were talking about your jacket collection. Like, so how often do you get to wear this stuff?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm on the road a lot, so that's where I wear it because it's fucking cold everywhere, you know. Hold on.
So do you have I guess that's a benefit of you sort of trading things in and out of your collection, is that you don't stand in front of your closet maybe with 50 different jackets and be like, I don't know, which 4 jackets am I going to bring on this
there you
Toledo
go.
Oh yeah,
is that the turquoise?
That's the turquoise.
Okay, yeah.
This guy, his name is K.YAMA.leather.guitar. Okay, the letter K.YMA.leather.guitar. This guy has incredible jackets and incredible guitars. And man, his fucking collection is nuts. He comes up in my feed all the time. I don't even fucking follow him. And I'm just like, this guy. And every time it says not for sale, personal owned, you know. But he's awesome. He's a jacket freak like me, you know. And let's see, there you go. He's just got all kinds of fucking rad jackets, and all of them are, he wears them all, so they're all getting aged. And he's a cool guy to watch. There's a lot. Oh man, Lewis makes a green one. To me, it looks like Christmas green, like some kind of flavor of Christmas, you know. And it knocks me out. The colored Lewis's are insane. It's pretty wild. And, leathers are going to be booming again from this Bike Riders movie that just came out. The motorcycle movie, Bike Riders.
I haven't heard of that, no.
Oh, you haven't heard of it? Oh, it came out Friday. And it's got Tom Harding and that guy that played Elvis, Austin Butler. And it's a basically a movie about a 50s outlaw biker club and the start of it. So there it is right there. The Bike Riders. It's out right now. It came out Friday. So there's definitely, and Shot made the official Bike Riders jacket. They're selling it in their boutiques right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a fucking great jacket that Shot's selling, which is pretty fucking cool. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. It's not horsehide though, it's steer, which is I don't really buy much steer anymore because I might as well buy horsehide while I can. And like there it is right there. This is the jacket and it's phenomenal. Wow. It's a classic D pocket leather and it's brand new.
That looks awesome.
Oh God, I love this jacket. Yeah.
Next on
anyway,
the list,
I gotta go, guys. Candles lit. Check out. I don't know when this is coming out, but I'll be in Minnesota. July 24th through the 27th. I'm in Las Vegas for the next 8 days. I'm headlining at Acme Comedy Club in Minnesota. That's the one. DeanDelray.com. All the tour dates.
When's the Chicago date?
I got to work on one because I just realized I haven't been there in a year. What's the comedy club there? Zany's, right? Or Helium or something?
I don't know, to be honest.
I don't either.
Like you said, Chicago theater or bust, right?
Well, there's the one.
Let's get a bill together for you.
Yeah.
What's the place on in Bucktown?
It's next to your tannery, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right down Ashland.
The Den, maybe. What's that place called?
We'll get Dean in there. We'll call him up.
Yeah,
call him up.
There's a couple of spots. There's a couple spots.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Chicago and having like do a comedy show, and then some kind of Q&A with some of the people in the town that like you, Nick, and somebody that has a shop, and then what's his name at Chicago Music Exchange, and
nice,
different guys that I've dealt with over the years.
Hell yeah.
I'm here whenever you want to come through.
All right, bud.
Hey,
hit me up,
thanks,
guys.
Dean.
When's this coming out?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna wait till after the holiday weekend, so maybe Monday, unless you need it out.
No, Monday's great. Perfect.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, man. Dean.
I'll see you guys. DeanDelray.com. Dean Delray is my Instagram. DELRAY. If you want to see my jackets or comedy or architecture, whatever.
Check it all out.
And my dog, who just did a commercial with Mark Hamill from Star Wars.
No.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, it's on there.
Nice.
Check it out.
I'll check it out, man.
Right, Gertie? Yeah, Gertie. I got to feed her. I love you guys. I'll see ya.
All right. See ya.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
Later.
Bye-bye.